people wouldn't be allowed, couldn't live in particular neighborhoods. And we've come a long way since then, and we still got a way to go, and this is one of those steps that we need to take in respect to a community that's, again, being left behind. And whether you're uncomfortable with something or not is irrelevant. It's about whether or not we're doing and serving a greater good. I believe we are. The only question I have, and I did mention to the civil liberties individuals here earlier, we did have a presentation from Andrew Marshall-Shutton who talked a bit about some of the languages. I want to ensure what we do here stands the test of time. So if there's anything in this particular document that was referenced earlier today, I've asked I can't remember her name from the Civil Liberties, and I gave her the document that please provide that kind of response to some of the suggestions here, so I'm better informed when this goes to council. And that's the only caveat, because I'm not a lawyer, and I want to make sure that whatever protocols we have in place, again, stands the test of time. So I'm, as I said during the presentation, I think it's the right thing to do. I was already in favor of the protocols. I just want to make sure that the language is tight. And again, sometimes it's our youth that educates us. And I want to say this very clearly. I came and was raised in a small Northern Ontario community, and I didn't have a lot of the exposures I've had since I moved to Hamilton. But one of the biggest educations for me is having a daughter that is very involved, is very progressive, and share her stories, and meet with her friends. And some of them, in fact, are transsexual. So I feel better informed. I feel that we're doing the right thing, and once again, we're leading on this issue in the province of Ontario. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Green, followed by Councillor Ferguson. Oh, Councillor Ferguson, then followed by Councillor Green.
Yes, and first of all, Madam Chairman, thank you for that, and I want to apologize for not being here this morning. I had another matter which I just could not change, but I did listen to some of the live streaming when I had an opportunity. And through, if I can, to Nicole. Nicole, there was a presentation that I saw on the live stream from a lawyer from Ottawa who pointed out 4 locations where they were concerned about there was conflicting in the wording. So through you, Madam Chairman, to Nicole, do you agree with the issues you brought up, and is this something we need to clean up before we do the approval?
Through you, Madam Chair, certainly I only saw those comments when they were provided today, so I hadn't seen them in advance. But just reviewing with our staff, we don't have any concerns with the way that the protocol has been put forward at this point, but we are certainly willing, as others have mentioned, to review those going forward in the year review or for Council's consideration later on this week.
Yeah. Okay, so in your professional opinion, we can approve it today. We're not going to step on a landmine.
Sorry, through you through the chair. Yeah, certainly we can. We're comfortable with the language that is there at the moment, but obviously we're always looking to consider any other changes that may be needed in the future.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Green, and then Councillor Johnson would like to speak. Councillor Green first.
Yeah, just acknowledging I'm not on the committee. I wanted to make sure I gave precedence to the committee members. But I have had the privilege of sitting here today in what I consider to be historic times. I've made the comment before, Madam Chair, members of this committee, and members in the audience, that we are having a values conversation in this country. And I believe that we are entering into what I will call the new civil rights. And you only have to have been around City Hall over the last 2 months to know that many of the complex issues and the difficult conversations in our community, in our country, are being unpacked right now. And if there's one thing that I've learned, is that history remembers. And so the question is, where will you stand on these issues of civil rights? Be it race, religion, gender identity, or expression, where will you stand when history remembers? And I have to say that I've been proud to stand beside Councillor Johnson. The Mayor rightly identified his tenacity in taking this on in a way that has brought us here today, working diligently with staff and community members. As you've just heard, they are fully in support of and brought forward this recommendation in a way that gave all the legal considerations that have been put forward. There was a previous speaker who spoke about a morality in our society that has the potential to be narrowly defined. And I would fundamentally agree with that statement. However, probably in the exact opposite context in which he presented it. That what we have witnessed here today, in this historic time, in this new civil rights, is a space of solidarity I'm not sure that I've seen at this level, in this complexity in City Hall. We've heard from primarily people with lived experience, and I have to take a moment, Madam Chair, to apologize to anybody who felt they needed to re-traumatize the violence that has been committed to them in the communities in order to justify their own existence in our city. To the certainly the Indigenous people who have provided, First Nations sisters and brothers who have provided historical context for this particular traditional land and territory. I certainly stand with them in solidarity and believe that their voice matters and ought to be given primary space in some of these conversations. To the trade unionists who came here today, Madam Chair, you know, to see our industry, our steel, all of our unionized workers come here and stand in solidarity with the sisters and brothers who are with us here today was a beautiful thing. All the different denominations of Christianity who spoke in support of what they believed to be their understanding of their God was a beautiful thing. To the rabbis, to the elders, to the non-believers who just understand the moral imperative that we have before us today. Thank you. To the legal experts who provided, you know, their own clarity around the charter. Thank you. History will remember us, and history will ask the question, where did you stand on these issues of civil rights? So although today I cannot stand and be recorded in this vote, please know that on Wednesday I will do that. I will do so proudly. I'm proud to be a Hamiltonian. I'm proud to stand in solidarity with all of you. And lastly, if you're watching this at home, if you felt fear, if you've ever felt targeted or violence in any way, shape, or form, if you feel alone, just know that we are here and we are here with you. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Green. Councillor Brenda Johnson, can you take the chair briefly?
Go ahead.
Before second-time Speaker Councillor Aidan Johnson, I just wanted to recognize Councillor Aidan Johnson. We have offices right across the hall, and believe me when I say, this is a councillor who has worked tirelessly on this file. He has spent a great deal of time and effort to ensure that what we are voting on today is truly inclusive and that it will stand up to any sort of a legal challenge. So, Councillor, I am honored to be working with you on this file, and I really do credit you for the work that you do.
Thank you, and I'll turn the chair back to you, and I believe Councillor Johnson's next up.
Thank you for the kind tribute, Madam Chair. It was a challenging chairing job today.
Yes.
You did a great job.
Absolutely.
Councillor Ferguson brought up a really good question about whether our protocol is in accordance with best practices in terms of inclusion and equity for transgender people. And I am privileged to be able to refer this question to an expert who is sitting with our city staff today. That expert is Nicole Nissbaum. That applause is richly appropriate. Nicole is arguably Canada's leading expert on transgender rights law and policy. She is an exemplary human rights lawyer, and I'm privileged to be able to call Nicole a mentor. I've learned so much from her in this process. I would like to refer Councillor Ferguson's question to her. Through you, Madam Chair, Ms. Nissbaum, is our Hamilton protocol in accord with best practice?
Madam Chair, Councillor Johnson, thank you for the question. I believe that this protocol is on the cutting edge of best practice for what we have in Ontario. I can say that I've been around the